All right, everybody. Welcome back to this week of Conversations with Jevon and Davone. And on this episode or segment, we have, at this moment, two of our guests. One of our guests is running a little late, but he'll be coming in soon. And today's topic is trans and pregnant. A lot of you been waiting for this conversation. A lot of you been hitting us up with questions, and hopefully we'll be able to answer all of them tonight. Jevon, you want to? Oh, hold on. Our third guest. Oh, well, he was just there. Okay, he'll be back soon. Jevon, you want to introduce the two guests that we have now?
Yes, I would love to. It is my honor to welcome to our show this evening. We have Caden. I've known Caden for a really long time, and I'm so proud of this young man with his journey and the obstacles that he's gone through in life and overcome. And I'm just so proud of this guy. So Caden Coleman is here with us. Thank you, Caden, for joining us.
Thank you.
And Xavier, whoo, brother from another mother out there, downtown. Xavier, I've known Xavier for a long time too, and whoo, this is one genius guy right here. And I appreciate you for coming here and sharing with us today, brother. This is a great show. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right.
Devin still didn't come back, so he should be on soon.
Give him time, but let's get started.
Somebody just asked, Alexander just asked if we were on, just so you know.
Yes, that's.
I know people are having a hard time finding it.
Oh yes, that's the guest. Hold on.
No, go ahead, Davone. I'll get him in.
Okay. So, let's start off. Okay. So I have a lot of questions, but the first thing I want to discuss is the difference between gender and sexuality. Because before we even start this conversation, I want to make sure that our viewers is very clear with that difference. Jevon, you want to clear that up?
Yes, so we spoke about this in the very first video with you and I, Davone, and so my identity, I identify as male, right? And my sexuality is pansexual, right? Which means that I will date and have relations. I am attracted to anyone, any gender, right? I feel as though I'm not trying to block my blessings from being with someone that would love me the way I would love them. So that is my preference, and that's how I live my life, right? And so you just have to keep in mind that who you are and who you have relations with, whether it be sexual, mental relations, because not all people have sex, right? We have to be mindful of that as well. So who you are versus who you have sex with. It's two different things.
Two different things.
So we just so happen to strategically choose people that are different in their lifestyle in this segment here, right? So let's go to Xavier. You want to talk about your preference and who you are?
My preference in life. My name is X. I'm a farmer and an organizer, organizational consultant in Chicago area. Got a little micro farm on the south side of Chicago, and then I work with groups on the east and west coast around community organizing, facilitation, nonprofit stuff. My preference, I'm a pansexual person too. I'm currently in a relationship, having a relationship for 6 years with a trans woman. So I am attracted to and have relationships with all different types of bodies and identities. So is that all I'm supposed to say?
So do you identify as straight, heterosexual?
No, I don't identify as heterosexual. I joke with my partner all the time, like, this is weird. I think we're passing for straight right now. Sometimes when we're walking around, it's kind of funny. But no, we are as queer as the day is long, despite how we're often perceived.
Right. And so that's, what needs to be heard, because a lot of people are like, oh, so why didn't you stay a female, and why didn't your partner stay a male, and y'all could still be together? Yeah.
Look at that eye.
These are questions that have come.
Because it don't work like that.
Exactly. But we'll tackle that for the couples one with the trans couples. Yes. So Caden, can we talk about you and how you identify?
So I'm Caden. My pronouns are he and him, and I'm gay. I only date men. I don't. That's it. That's the end. I date men. Right now, I'm just a father. I don't have like a long list of like things that I do with my life, but yeah.
That's good. And so that's also another thing that comes up in questions about trans men that date cis men. Or are you opposed to dating trans men?
I'm not opposed to dating trans men. I like men.
I'm just
Trans men are men.
Okay.
I've never actually dated a trans man, but I've definitely had sex with you. So
Okay. So you're attracted to masculinity.
I'm attracted to men.
Okay.
I say that. There's a reason why I say that, because there's a lot of masculine women
Right.
that are probably way more masculine than me or my boyfriend or anybody that I've ever dealt with. But I'm not interested in them because they're women. You know what I mean? So
Thank you. That's why I asked that question. Thank you for that.
no. Oh, okay. Okay. That was a
Devin is on, Jevon. Hi, Devin.
Yeah, he looks occupied, so we can give him some time.
Okay.
All right.
Let me ask the question, X. How did you and your partner meet? And how long? You said you was together for 6 years, correct?
Yeah.
How did y'all meet?
we met at a conference called The Color of Violence in Chicago. And it was a lot going on, and I don't remember what she said, but I remember the way she talked, and what she said caught my attention. And she also, she has a presence about her. So I kind of like, I saw her from afar and in different spots of the conference, but I didn't say anything to her at the conference. I slid into the Facebook DMs maybe a week or two later. So that's
slides into the DM.
That's how that started.
Aiden, how did you and your boyfriend meet? And how long have y'all been together?
We've been together for going on a year now.
Aww.
He actually hit me up on Jacked.
What's that?
Which is, if you don't know what it is, it's I call it. Wait, am I allowed to curse?
Yes.
Okay. I call it GPS for dick. Basically, it's a hookup app. Yeah, kind of like Tinder. I've never actually been on Tinder, but it's I just dropped my daughter off in Jersey, and I was stuck on the train coming back into New York, and he happened to be in Jersey, and he hit me up on there, and it was like 2 days later, he came to my job, and I somehow convinced him to wait for my Amazon package at my house, and we have literally been together every single day since then.
You got to thank Amazon.
Right. Yep.
Devin, Are you able to talk, Devin?
It looks like he's still driving.
Yeah.
Oh, there
I
you
can
go.
talk.
Hello.
What's up? I'm sorry, y'all. I'm out and about.
Will you be able to pull over soon to talk to us?
Yeah. I was listening, but I can still hear y'all. But yeah, I can. I'm almost at the house now, so.
Okay, good. Let us know when you all settled in. Okay,
All
I
right, I'll
have
be
a
listening though.
okay.
All right.
I have a question.
It's right there.
I got a lot going on.
Yeah, I muted him. Okay. So X,
Happens, Xavier.
let me know if any of these questions you feel is invasive. If you feel that the question is invasive, you don't have to answer. But some people ask me, how did you conceive? Was it artificial insemination or was it natural?
So you just gonna start off with a light question?
I have a list of questions.
I was just joking. Okay. Look. We conceived the old-fashioned way.
Okay, all right.
Point
Caden?
blank, period.
Same.
Okay, all right. Davone, you got the next question?
No, so I would like to also just for those that are watching, because there's like this taboo about sex with trans guys, right? And this sort of fetishism that is going on right now with trans guys, right? I saw someone make a post the other night, oh, I'm gonna get me a trans man. I like trans men. And so I'm like looking at this, and it's coming from a trans woman, right? I'm like, how does this make you feel when someone says, "Oh, I'm gonna date trans men. I'm gonna get me one." Xavier.
I mean, it's not new for trans people to just be objectified by our genitals or what people think is in our pants or not in our pants. So that's not new. And I think for me, out in the world, engaging with people, being a poly person or just being around people, I'm always listening for how people are referring to us. Just in the way people talk, you can tell whether or not they see us as full people or if they still objectifying us or if they see us as just less than. If people talk long enough, but I just listen for it, and if I feel like you fetishizing or if you're objectifying, then it's on to the next one. Like, I don't waste my time, especially if we talking about personal relationships. If we out in the working world, I got more of a responsibility. I might take a little bit more time to teach and answer questions. But if it's in my personal life, I don't really have a lot of energy to be trying to teach trans 101 or be your experiment.
Very good, very good. That is what we know and how we feel, but it has to be said. So I'm glad you said that. Davone?
I have another question from a viewer. What do you say to a person that says, why would you transition to be the person that you feel that you should have been born, a man, and then decide to have a baby? How do you respond to that when somebody says that to you? Caden? I could tell you feisty, Caden, so give it up.
Trying. Like, I'm sitting over here like, do I give like a politically correct answer here, or do I ask you, do you really want to know how I respond? Because
I want to know how
Javon
you
knows me, he
respond.
knows how I give it up. Well, first of all, I would tell them to mind their motherfucking business. That's the first thing. Because my thing is, why are you questioning what I'm doing with my body? My question is always, why do you feel like you can question why I'm doing anything? As a grown-ass man, I can do whatever it is that I want to do. However, when I'm trying to be politically correct, what I would say is that I transitioned or am transitioning to be happy. It was a matter of life or death for me. You know what I mean? So I opted to take the steps so that, you know, the cliche, my inside match my outside, I'm happy with the man in the mirror type of thing. That being said, as someone who's trans, I don't have to, being trans and hating your body are not mutually exclusive. Like, I don't have to hate or reject the parts of my body that, one, make me feel good, and two, create life. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to not have an orgasm because you trying to tell me that because I'm trans, I can't use my bits and pieces. You know what I mean? That being said, I just referenced the fact that I'm gay. I date men, cisgender men mostly. When a penis enters a vagina and things happen, you know, babies get made because I didn't have a hysterectomy. I opted to not, well, my first one, I didn't have a choice because I didn't find out I was pregnant until I was 5.5 months pregnant. But even with like my newborn, I opted not to have an abortion because, one, that's just not something I relate to. I'm definitely pro-choice, by the way. But also I feel as though everything happens for a reason, but also, as I know a lot, I hang around with nothing but cisgender gay men. And I know so many of them, if they could, would have a baby in a heartbeat. I have that ability. And then, yeah, and then you got to also think about the fact that there's plenty of cisgender women that wish they could have a damn baby. I'm not, far be it for me to reject that part of myself because society decided that men don't have babies. Because guess what? I'm a man and I had a baby.
Yep.
Period.
Thank you for that. So, we have a question, and that question is, was your pregnancy planned? So we'll go to Xavier and Caden, and we can go to Devin. So Xavier, was your pregnancy planned?
The hell yeah, it was planned. I had to go off my tea and it was rough.
Okay, so
But it was planned.
How was that for you?
It was rough. Like, after 13 years of being balanced one way, you know, of connecting to my body, moving one way, and then choosing to like let some of those things shift back or shift in other directions. It was more rough mentally. I mean, physically, you know, body is a body. I think is more challenging around the mental pieces of it. But you adapt. We tried a few years ago, and then it was too much. But then recently, we decided that our lives are a little bit more stable and that it would be easier to handle. So,
okay, all right. Thank you for sharing that. And Caden, how was it for you? Was it planned?
Neither one of them were planned. So like I said, I didn't find out about my oldest until I was 5.5 months pregnant already. This one I found out way earlier, but it definitely was not planned. I just am horrible at keeping up with my shot. Because it's kind of, see, I'm not one of those. So Xavier, we've been transitioning for about the same amount of time. For me, in the beginning, I couldn't wait to take my shot. I was taking my shot days early and shit, like, oh my God, shot day. Now I'm like, I'm gonna take it tomorrow. All right, I'm gonna take it tomorrow. And it'll be like 3 weeks later, I still ain't take it. I don't even know where my bottle is. I don't have no needles or syringes. Now I'm pregnant. So
I feel like you left to step. I feel like you left to step out. I feel like you left to step out.
I mean, we don't know how I got there, but like,
Was T like birth control?
It's not like birth control, but T, and that's actually a really good question. T is not birth control. T is not birth control. But
message.
No, I'm saying this so that people know, because a lot of people think that a lot of trans men think that T is birth control, and it's absolutely not. But what it can do is it can stop you from ovulating. As long as you're not ovulating, you're not going to have, you're not going to get pregnant. However, that's all dependent on your levels of of testosterone in your body. So for me, because I stopped taking, I wasn't taking it consistently. I never got like a menstrual or anything like that. I just got pregnant. So, you know, all it literally only takes to be your levels to be low enough, and they don't have to be low enough for you to menstruate either.
All right, I have a question that wasn't even on my paper, but this conversation jogged my mind. When you have top surgery, can you breastfeed afterwards? No?
So it depends on the type of top surgery you have. So like for me, I had a double mastectomy with nipple grafts, which means that they literally cut off my nipple, resized it, sliced it, and removed and you know, moved it over. Whereas some guys who've only gotten like keyhole surgery, or if they've gotten a double mastectomy without the grafts. I'm actually a part of a Facebook group where there has been trans men who post-top surgery are able to chest feed.
Oh, that's nice.
If they don't call it breastfeeding, they call it chest feeding because there's no breast there.
Oh, wow.
So
Do you miss doing that? Do you crave doing that?
There's nothing to miss because I've never breastfed before. And honestly, if I did have top portions, I still wouldn't breastfeed because that's never been a part of my body that made sense to me.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And that just, it's not an instinct. It's not something I think I should be doing. There's a lot of shame. Not shame on my behalf, but people try to shame me. Like, why would you get your chest cut off and then have a baby? Now you can't even breastfeed. And I'm like, okay, but I would have chosen not to anyway. And a lot of cisgender women choose not to as well.
And can I say something about on the breastfeeding tip? Baby is like 2 weeks old, and we had someone donate breast milk. So I've had top surgery, and I know the importance and some of the benefits of, you know, breast milk. And there's other ways to have access and to be able to support, you know, your child having access to breast milk, even if you don't want to chest feed or have the ability to chest feed. So that's not something that has to be connected to being a parent, whether or not you have breasts. One of your parents have breasts.
I relate to what you say, Kaden, because when I had my child, my daughter, 26 years ago, I couldn't breastfeed because she wouldn't latch on. And I felt, you know, they shamed me when I used to take her to the doctor's office and all the women, and they see me feeding her out the bottle or mixing up my little Similac and giving it to her. And they were like, oh, you should be breastfeeding. But I tried. I just couldn't.
All right.
So Devin is ready, Davone.
Okay. So our third guest finally logged on. Devin.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi, Devin.
Hey, what's
So
good?
just to catch you up, maybe, oh, hi. Whole family, hi. Baby.
I'm here. I'm sorry.
Okay. Could you just tell us where you, is that the baby? Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
He's a little fit right now. He's always mad.
Could you just tell us how old you are and where you live?
I'm 24 years old. I'll be 25 in November. I'm currently in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay. All right. Jevon, you want to catch him up with some questions?
Yes. So we're gonna catch you up.
I'm ready now.
So Devin, how is this your first child?
It's my first biological. Yeah.
And how was that for you?
Like the whole process from the pregnancy on to the labor,
Yes. So was this planned?
Yeah, I went through. Sorry, I went through a donor, and we did it that way or whatever. But the pregnancy itself, it was okay. It was different, of course, because it wasn't something that I was planning on doing. It wasn't something I was planning on doing, but definitely, it's a blessing. I still think it's a blessing regardless. I just faced a lot of like backlash and stuff like that. I faced a lot of backlash and stuff like that, so it was like stressful in the beginning. Like I lost a couple family members off of it and everything else, but as far as the labor and everything, that was also a task for him because it was like hectic, I guess you could say. So I had to end up having a C-section with him, but I mean, it's not nothing I was planning about or regret or nothing like that.
Well, we,
You
we
know,
we we didn't get to the delivery part yet, but thank you for sharing. Were you able to chest feed, or you didn't opt for that?
no, I definitely didn't want to do that.
Okay, all right. So you did in vitro, or did you have it the old-fashioned way?
No, it's like the little in vitro. I guess like the kit. Some donors they have like this kit that they send you with the syringe and all that in there. And you do it
Dissemination.
yourself.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, well, congratulations on that. Did you just try the first time, or did you have to try a couple of times?
This was my first time actually trying. I never just really wanted to carry, so but yeah.
Okay, did you have to go off your testosterone for a long period of time?
Yeah, I was actually off and on for like probably like a year and a half, 2 years. And sorry. I was probably off and on for like a year and a half, 2 years. So I was fertile because I had started getting like cycles and stuff back. Because of my insurance and stuff. So it wasn't that bad of a process. It was pretty easy with me being as fertile as I was.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you for sharing. I think we all caught up. Did I miss any questions? No, I did. So we talked about relationships, identity, and sexual preference. So how do you identify? Do you identify as a straight man, and your preference? Are you gay, straight? How do you identify?
Uh, Straight hetero. I usually only mess with females. So like with this, I'm sorry. So with this baby, yeah, that's why I face a lot of backlash. But yeah, I usually mess with females. As long as you're female, it's okay. You know. Um, but yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing, and we appreciate you sharing, and thanks for sharing the baby with us.
No.
Thank you so much. We're gonna go back because I think we got you caught up. But hopefully, you didn't miss anything.
Yeah, I think we got them caught up. I
All
have
right.
a question, and this is for everybody. What age, if any, will you disclose to your children that you are trans, and what does that conversation look like? X, you
You-
muted X. Let me, I don't know.
I was like, David, don't come to me first. Because that's the big question. We've
It
had
is
this
a big question.
we've had this conversation, me and my partner, and I feel like I feel like their lives would be so filled with talking about gender in a particular way that it's not going to build up to this big moment where there's this big reveal about who we are and our body parts. I just feel like it'll just be a part of our lives in this way that it won't be complicated. I think teaching them how to navigate how other people are going to perceive their reality and what our family looks like, that's another layer. Um, so I don't think it's this like at this age we will say X, Y, and Z. I think it's a matter of just building a life with people and ways of talking about gender and our bodies, where who we are just makes make sense.
Another part of that question was, will you ever show your children pictures of you when you was pregnant?
Yeah.
I definitely.
I feel like I feel like it's part of both of our lives to not be in denial about our gender, and I've never been a person that didn't talk about, you know, my gender as a transmasculine person. So like showing my body at this time, I have any reason not to hide it or to keep it away from them. Why?
Yeah.
Aiden, I know that you're out walking, so I'm going to get back to you in a minute.
No, I can answer
Devin,
you.
you can hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got my AirPods in.
Okay.
So, I'm a little different in this aspect because I already have an older child. She's 6. Conversation with her since she could comprehend. She's always, she's always known, like even down to what parts I have. So she knows that her and I have the same parts, and her poppy has different parts. She knows the names of them. She's educated in that sense. She has definitely seen pictures of me pregnant. He has an understanding of it. And I make sure not to hide it or mask it or anything of that nature, because I feel like education instills confidence, and I need for her to be as confident as possible walking through this shitty ass world. So, yeah. And I'm going to do the same with the new one as well.
Devin?
Yeah, I definitely agree. With me, I told myself I was just gonna be an open book with both of the kids. But I have a 2-year-old too, and then I have him. And I just was like, the best thing for me to do is be honest with them and tell them, the journey. Like, this is the part of how you got here. It's the part of your journey and mine too. So I just always tell myself, like, any questions they might have, always, tell them the truth and just break it down and explain to them when they're of age or old enough to understand. Like he said, his little one is 6 years old. So I'm like, the earlier when they can understand it, the better it's to talk to them about it. Instead of waiting too long. Instead of waiting too long and have him out there in the world not knowing anything about it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I plan to do with both of them.
Jevon, you have a question?
Yeah, but that is really good to hear, because there has been some, how you say, some trans people that wait until their kids are teenagers to tell them, so I just feel that when it's safe for the kid to know and to explain to them, so that they don't just go blurting it out and not being able to tell someone, oh well, this is how it works, because you have some kids that are really horrible and bullies and will bully these kids just for existing, right? So um my daughter has a hard time still with me being trans. So my daughter's 29, and my grandson never knew me as a female. My granddaughter never knew me as a female. But you have my daughter, that is caught in between, right? Because I had her when I was 21. And then her father, when the grandkids go over there, refer to me as she, because he and I don't have a good relationship. So the kids looking at him like, who's she? Who are you talking about? So I I constantly worry about kids and how they're treated, And so I'm glad you all talked about it and are aware and know when you're comfortable enough to have this conversation with your kids. The other thing that I want to ask is, did you all do a gender reveal?
I love those.
I did.
I did
I
it.
did. I opted to because I was okay. So I definitely went back and forth with whether or not I was going to do that, right? And then someone gave me a really great idea, and it kind of helped me feel better. So I did a gender reveal. I mean, I didn't do nothing crazy. I mean, I think we wore pink shirts on YouTube. That was about as much as we revealed. But we did the gender reveal with the understanding that if either one of my kids do decide to transition, we're just going to have to do another gender reveal. It's just that simple. Everybody's walk in transitioning is different. And I got a lot of backlash for doing a gender reveal because I'm a trans man, I shouldn't be so focused on genitals and blah, 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 blah. Shut up. I am allowed to do whatever the hell I want to do with my children. And that's what I'm going to do. But I don't enforce gendered things onto my children either. If they want to wear boy clothes or whatever the case may be, like, that's fine. I just did the gender reveal because I feel as though, like I'm in that group I told you guys about earlier. I feel as though there are people that are raising their children as non-binary. And to me, that's the same damn thing. You're still gendering your child. You're gendering your child by not non-binary is still gendering your child. You're still choosing their pronouns for them. You're still choosing something for them. And my whole thing is, for now, that's what we have to do because we're obsessed with labels and things of that nature. But I just do it with the notion that they can choose for themselves later on.
Xavier.
Thank you.
I mean, I think gender reveals are whack. I mean, so
Love them. They so
We didn't-
creative.
we didn't do it. I got into a real conversation with one of my high school friends who is straight cis person. This is like 2 years ago, before I was even pregnant or whatever, about gender reveals, and she was just like, but it's just a fun thing, it's just cute, like what's the big deal? And I was just like, I mean, I just don't think having a party that celebrates, I just think that it's forcing our ideas about gender on the child before the child is even here. I think there's ways of celebrating having your child without it being centered around their gender. That's the nicest way that I can put it.
I think that's why I chose not to celebrate it. I think that's why I chose not to celebrate it. Because I agree with a lot of what was said, what Xavier just said, and I think that's why I opted not to celebrate it. But I have a question. Am I allowed to ask questions? Can I ask
Yes, you
Xavier a
can.
question? Did you find out the gender of your child, or did you go the whole pregnancy without knowing?
No, we found out, but we did not tell people until like 2 months before they were born. Like, we didn't do a gender reveal. We shared the baby's name at the end of the baby shower like 2 months before they were born. Because that's what everybody was asking, is that, is it a boy, is it a girl? Everybody's so focused on gender.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Got you.
Devin.
Yeah. I'm here.
Did you hear the question? Did you have a gender reveal?
Oh yeah, I heard it. No, I didn't really do one, not because I feel a certain type of way about it. I'm kind of indifferent when it comes to gender reveals, but I honestly was so overwhelmed with everything. It was just one of those things where I'm just not gonna do one because it's gonna add to it. I did the baby shower and everything, but just not the gender reveal. And also, like, one of them said, I forgot which one said it, but you know, use the gender reveal for your baby because they feel like, you know, you're just making it all about gender and stuff like that. I just didn't feel like dealing with that, so I just didn't do one.
We got a question underneath the live from Crush. What age was he? So I'm gonna pose this question to all three of you when you decided that you wanted to transition. Caden?
I was, shit, how old was I? I went back and forth with it for a while. But I think I was about 19 or 20.
Is that when you decided to transition, or you took the first steps in going to the doctor and asking for tea?
No, that's when I socially transitioned.
Okay, so
That's when I started using male pronouns and,
okay.
you know, all that good stuff. I didn't start physically transitioning until 2010. 2010, yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people in our community don't understand that. They just think that you start transitioning when you take P, but you socially, mentally start transitioning way before that. And they have to respect that transition as well.
Yep.
Xavier?
What was the question again?
She wanted to know what age was you when you decided that you wanted to transition?
Decided that you wanted to transition. I didn't know that there was a possibility. I didn't know that there was a such thing as a trans masculine experience until I was in my 20s. And it wasn't until 2 years after I met the first trans masculine person that I was able to like be honest with the fact that that's who I was too. So I mean the short answer is early in my 20s. It's just this piece about not even knowing there was a possibility. So it's like this thing around when did you make a decision? I didn't have the options or the choices, you know.
That's why I paused. That's why
It's
I paused
hard.
too. Yeah,
This
I
thing
felt that.
around
I felt that.
when did you make a decision? I don't know.
Right.
But I don't want to ramble.
That's an honest answer, and that is so valid. You know, because there are a lot of guys out here that don't know. So that is so valid. Thank you for sharing that. Did we lose Devin? Are you there?
Devin feeding.
Oh,
Devin?
there you go.
Yeah.
It's your turn to answer the question there, young man.
Oh, okay. When did I decide to transition? Mine will probably be around like 18 when I left the house. Like as soon as I left the house, I went to the military. I was on my own. I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and do this because can't nobody tell me I can't now. I was staying with my mom, but yeah, around about 18, 19 is when I decided to do it.
All right. Thank you for sharing that. Um, this is really important, guys, and I appreciate you all for sharing and being honest and open. So, if any of these questions coming up is too much or triggering, please.
Y'all finna get messy.
All right, because this is where
Don't see any triggering questions.
the actual process, right? You in the hospital, you going to your GYN appointments, right? How was that for you, Xavier?
Well, my midwife is a very, very close friend and person I consider a part of chosen family out here in Chicago. So I chose a place to receive my prenatal care where she is at so that I will always be in her care. And then I also had a doula who was also a longtime friend, someone's very close. So I got a team. You know, I surrounded myself with amazing Black women to help see me through this process. So I because I have a lot of fear and anxiety when it comes to medical, going to the hospital, even my whole being there for labor. I still went through it, even though I had those people there to support me. But because they were there, I feel like I was able to like lean into it and get through it in a particular way. So a lot of my experience going to the hospital, even when people would misgender or things happen here and there, I always knew that I had a person who was on staff at that hospital, on staff at that clinic, who would follow up. And I had my doula who I could call and text and ask questions in a way that I would ask my sister who's a nurse, you know, who's going to give me the real, because she loves me and cares for me, and she's going to give me the real, you know, as a professional. So yeah, but I still had little incidents that happened in different times. So
Yeah, so that's more so like what I was thinking. So when you went for your prenatal appointment at the GYN and they said Xavier, and you went to stand up, like were there like
I had
comments or anything?
yeah, I had to go. Yeah, I had to go to the hospital twice around some things I didn't know what was happening. And when I went to the emergency room to check in, I called my midwife and she's like, well, come to the hospital, you know, and I'll take you up. When we went to registration, like they did not hear me when I said like I am pregnant. And they looked at my partner and they were trying to, there's multiple times where it's like they're trying to register my partner because she's a woman and they're trying to talk to her. And we have to like, I had to say to them multiple times, like I'm in the system. This is my birth date. This is my name. This is my weeks pregnant. And they told me to go sit down, and then they called me back, and then the lady called and leaned me over the counter like, are you pregnant? Like, yes, I am. Don't you see all of this right here? But yeah, but I mean, my worst situation was when I went to I went for ultrasound because they contract the ultrasound in another place, and when I walked in, the lady took my temperature because of the COVID stuff, but then I sat down in reception, and then she just ignored me. She just ignored me. So then, but she kept, you know how people look at you, the receptionists look at you, but they're not looking at you and they ignoring you, and you can tell they're giving you the cold shoulder. It's like, okay, so are you gonna ask, can you help me, or am I gonna have to come up? So I had to go up and say something, and then she tried to send me off like, oh, I think you're in the wrong place. I was like, no, this is my name. Look me up in the system. And before she could even type anything, she's like, are you Xavier? So that tells me you knew the whole time, but you was acting shady. But you know, I had to pull a little, I need to talk to somebody so that this does not happen to anybody else again situation. But they handled it. It wrapped up. It wasn't, I feel like I didn't go through anything too harsh, too serious, besides people just misgendering and being rude here and there.
You said that you had anxiety going to the doctor. Did you have that anxiety before you started transitioning?
Yeah, I have anxiety about it. I was just being a Black person, you know, and know the history of being, you know, experimented on and not listened to and left to die. So it's that layer of things. And then just being a queer person and a trans person, like relationship to medical industry and people not hearing you once you say you trans, or once you say you sleep with this person, then they just want to know about sexuality and get your data and all this type of stuff. So it's like, I just don't like hospitals, and I don't, you know, trust them. So yeah.
I'm just thinking to myself that would it have been a better situation, and could the hospitals change whatever format that they have with possibly flagging your account as trans, so you don't have to explain yourself over and over and over again. I know when I went to the GYN, I had to tell them, listen, put on my folder that I'm a lesbian, because I was tired of coming in here and they asked me these heterosexual questions. Are you having sex with a man? Da, 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 da. And I don't want to answer those questions every time I come in for my checkup. So when they put that up there, they altered the questions for me and I felt more comfortable. I'm just trying to see if they would do that, it wouldn't be so much confusion.
Well, some people don't want to be singled out as well when you go to the clinic, right? Because it's like, you know, they automatically know you're trans. It might help, but it might not help, right? Some clinics have on the chart. Some people don't have their names changed, right? So they'll have the name and then they'll have another name in parentheses. So sometimes that helps, but somewhere down the line, people in these job positions, Davon, they don't listen.
It has to be a
So,
cultural shift for people
yeah.
to get certain cues from the intake, because there are things at the hospital that I went to, like there's options for other pronouns. I'm listed as male and it says, you know, this person is pregnant. And for people to make that cultural shift, that I will have patients whose gender will say this, but they also will be pregnant. Like that is even a possibility, unless certain workers encounter that. They never have to process it. They never, you know, and they might be, you know, a trans friendly. They have nothing against, you know what I mean? But they just haven't had to deal with it, you know, to process it in their mind. So in the moment, and I feel like the people who I came upon in that registry situation, they were surprised, but they didn't too much attitude or react too much. I had one nurse who like intentionally misgendered me, but most of the people at the desk, they're like, okay, well then let me print out another thing, let me correct this right and keep it moving. You know, it didn't have to be a big complicated thing, you know.
Right, right, and that's what I'm hearing you, right, and if they would just listen to you when you walked in the first time, you know, so it's all in perception and listening, right? You see this man come and he tells you, "I am pregnant. My name is in the system." You heard it. You see him. Look him up. That's your job. Look him up. That's what you do. You're the receptionist. All you do is type in people's names and birthday. That's it. Have a seat. That's it. And then it goes into the next thing. The conversation, we don't have to have conversation. Thank you for coming in an emergency. Someone will call you in a minute. Got your name, birthday. Boom. Thank you, Xavier, for sharing. So, Kaden, we gonna save you. Because I know you gonna go off. Devin, how was your
Yo,
experience in the hospital and going to your prenatal appointments?
um, at first it was a little bit weird, but I think as the more people got to know me and stuff like that, they kind of like got with the program. They kind of did everything that they needed to do to make sure I was comfortable. So every time I came there, it wasn't the same issue. So eventually, from my prenatal care team to my labor and delivery team, they were awesome. They would always do the note thing, you know, just so I wouldn't have to explain myself every time I went to the doctor. They would always leave a note in my account. Not really like so everybody could see, but anyone who had care to do with me, they could see that, so they knew what was going on. I guess the delivery team or whatever, they were also pretty cool. Or the hospital I went to, the prenatal team and the delivery team, they always relate to each other, so they'll give everybody a rundown on you, so they'll know like what to do and what not to do when it comes to you. Um, so it was okay going to OBGYNs though. That was always a thing with me because especially the one I go to, it's like a women's center. So like me going there was kind of weird because at first people was looking at me like, you know, what are you doing here? Like, but eventually I got over there. It was kind of like one of those things where I know I got to do it. So, you know, I just did it.
Did you have any altercations or like with other women that were sitting there when they called your name, when they said, "Hey, Devin, you know, come in"? Did anybody look at you funny or say anything?
If they did, I didn't realize it honestly because you know, like they never really said nothing directly to me if they did feel a certain type of way. But I try to go to the places that's more diverse with LGBT people and all that too, because it kind of cuts down on the anxiety when it comes to that.
Oh,
So
very good. Oh, that is so good to hear. And it's so good to hear that out there where you are, that these places are available. Right.
yeah.
So that is so good that you know, people are coming around and accepting and following through with the laws that are in place, right?
Hmm.
We have some states that are just like, no, we're not following through. We ain't doing it. So I'm glad that you had an easy birth and process was pretty good for you. All right, everyone that's watching, brace yourself.
Oh my God. Damn.
Listen, straight, let them have it. No chaser, Caden.
So do you want to hear about my first one or my second one?
You can bless us with both.
Okay, so the first one, the problems that I had were that, like, I didn't know no better, right? So I just blindly went to where my doctor referred me to go, which was this hospital in Philly. They have a clinic there, OB clinic. And basically they would, because I had to change my gender marker back to female on my insurance so that they would cover my care, they would see that I was there for OB and, you know, for insurance purposes, they saw that F there. It would always be Miss Coleman, like across the room. And I would have to like get up and waddle my fat ass across the room in front of all these people. And it was always packed. It was always packed. And so that was really uncomfortable. And a lot of gawking nurses. And I was, this was 6 years ago. So I didn't know any better. And I just kind of like kept my head down. When I went to into labor, so sometimes there's teaching hospitals, and they'll come in with like maybe one or two students, and that be that. When I was being induced, and one, they wouldn't listen to me. I kept telling them I just wanted a C-section. They just were not listening to me. They didn't care that that's what I wanted. But there were always a street. I'm not even kidding you. At least 10 or more students every time they came into the hospital room, to the point where I just took my gown off. And I was laying on the bed butt ass naked. And they're like, Mr. Coleman, you don't want to. I was like, why? Everybody's going to see up in my bits and pieces anyway. Here it is.
Bits and pieces.
You know what I'm saying? Like, since everybody's going to see it, let's all see it. And, I couldn't get out of bed because I was on a magnesium drip. So I'm like peeing and shit in a commode, and these people are just around me constantly. And I wasn't being listened to. I wasn't being heard. It was very, very, very traumatic, and I ended up with severe postpartum depression, PTSD, and anxiety, all three of them. This particular pregnancy, I said to myself, I'm gonna advocate for myself this time, and I did my due diligence, and I found an OB that was trans competent. I knew because when I called the lady and I told her I wanted to make this appointment, she goes, so I'm going to ask you, before I even got to get it out of my mouth, she was like, are you trans? And I was like, yes. I was like, oh my God, yes. Well, I got there, and kind of very similar to Devon's situation, it was like this big women's health center, right? And I'm like, and what made it even worse is that it was like a separate entrance. So I couldn't even pretend like I was going somewhere else. Like I had to go into this women's health room. And I was, cause I'm considered high risk. So I had to also go to a perinatal. When I got referred to the perinatal, and that's also where I got my ultrasounds and everything done, I went into the perinatal space, and I walked up to the window and I said, hi, my name's Caden. I have an appointment at 2:00. Do you need my birthday? She just looked at me. She was like, what are you here for? And I was like, I have an appointment at 2:00. Do you need my birthday? She was like, are you here to get your blood drawn? I was like, no, I have an appointment at 2:00. Do you need my date of birth? Well, where's your wife? I don't have a wife, ma'am. So who are you here for? I have an appointment. Caden Coleman, do you need my date of birth? Well, where's your wife? I swear to God, she asked me like 3 times where my wife was at. The next thing she said to me was, "You don't belong here. This doctor is for women only."
Mm.
And it irritated me because this waiting room wasn't big. So there was like these women just like, and they're just looking at me, and I'm like tunnel visioning her because I'm trying to act like they're not there, because now I'm trying not to blow a gasket. And I said, excuse my French early, "My name is Caden fucking Coleman. My date of birth is July 5th, 1986. I was referred here from," insert my OB's name. "Look my information up." "Oh, I'm so sorry." Now, mind you, what made it even worse is that when the referral was made, I stood in front of the receptionist and she said, "Yes, I know he's pregnant, but his pronouns are he and him. He's trans. Can you please put that in so that everybody knows?" "Oh, no problem." Got in the back, got my ultrasound done. The whole time I was getting the ultrasound done, the ultrasound tech was referring to me as mom and mommy the whole time. So the second time I went in, I said to her, and it's on my YouTube, so there's proof. I said to her, "Hey, just FYI, my pronouns are he and him. So if you could just refrain from like the maternal, you know, that stuff, that would be great." She said, "So how about we just don't say anything?" And proceeded to do the rest of the ultrasound in dead silence, which made me very upset because this was my partner's first time being able to see the ultrasound at all. And I'm sitting here basically directing him like, "Okay, that's her head," that like, you know what I mean? Like that type of stuff. So, that happened. And then because of COVID, remember I said the women's section, the women's health had a different side? Well, because of COVID, they closed that down. And so now I had to go through the regular clinic doors, which means I had to deal with those receptionists. So I got there, and at this point, the only clients that they were seeing were OB clients. Everybody else was a televisit. So I'm in there, and I'm like, "I have an appointment." Gave them my information, and they were like, "Are you sure you have an appointment? Because they're only seeing for the OB." And I was like, "Yeah, I know. So I'm here for an appointment." "Okay, go sit down." So I sat down. I'm sitting with my partner, and I'm like, we sitting there for mad long. I was like, "Babe, why are we still sitting here?" He was like, "I don't know." And they're like talking, but they're talking, I think they were African or Haitian. They were talking in whatever their native tongue was and looking at me simultaneously. Now, mind you, I'm the only patient in here now. So I got up and I was like, "Hey, my appointment was like 45 minutes ago. Like, is there a reason?" She was like, "Well, who are you waiting to see back there?" And I was like, she was like, "Is your wife back there?" I was like, "No, I just told you." So then this lady, she tells me to go sit down again. And at this point, like 2 or 3 more people trickled into the waiting room. And the lady over the desk yells at me across the room, "Kaden, are you pregnant?" Yeah, yeah. Thanks for telling the room. Thanks so much. Thank you so much. It was very uncomfortable. I did have to do like the thing where I had to let the doctor know, like, y'all either want to show in here or y'all are going to do some sensitivity training. To figure it out, because I can go train them sensitively right now if you want. They handled it though. They definitely handled it. And those same receptionists went out of their way to be super nice to me for the rest of my pregnancy. But it was very, very uncomfortable. For my labor and delivery, it was okay. Mainly because, well, actually, I'm lying. When I went into the hospital the first time, same thing. It was the ER because I had high blood pressure, and I went in there and I was like, "Hey, I'm here. I need my OB told me to come in because my blood pressure is really high." And the lady, I shit you not, she just stood there and stared at me up and down, up and down. And I was like, "Is there a problem?" She was like, "Are you sure you have to?" I said to her, I was like, "My question to you is, even if I was batshit crazy and said, I'm a man, I'm pregnant, and I wasn't actually trans, Your job is not to question me why I'm here. Your job is to register me in the system. So I'm gonna need for you to go ahead and do what the fuck I just asked you to do. Because my blood pressure is already high. Let them figure it out, OB, if I pull my pants down and the dick and balls fall out. Like, what's the issue? There were minor things between there and that, but other than that, like, this time I definitely like advocated for myself. They asked me if students can come in. I told them absolutely the fuck not. Minimum, I wanted the bare minimum of people, like, period. And so this time around was a lot easier. I mean, as far as easiness goes, I guess, you know.
Well, thank you for sharing, because I've watched both your pregnancies, both your journey, right? And I can tell that this time around was very different, and it seemed a lot more calmer, and you were like, ready, like you could have done the birth yourself. I was
Yeah.
like, look at him, all
Yeah,
pro.
I definitely walked in there armed this time. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I really got to give it up to you, Kaden. You did it. I was like, whoa. Like I'm over here, like you can be someone to help people with their birth, right?
At this point,
Yeah,
at this point, probably.
definitely. Avon, do you see any questions on your end? Because I don't want to keep them too long. Like, you know.
I do. With all that you have dealt with in your transition, how would you feel honestly if your child was trans? Xavier.
Who are you asking? Oh.
Xavier, you just got finished talking, Kaden.
I wouldn't feel no type of way. I mean, it happens. I mean, I wouldn't feel any type of way about it. It would just be another thing that I have some experience about, that when they dealing with, just try to do what I can to support them through it.
Aiden.
Well, I mean, I kind of already answered that question in the sense of if they were to come out as trans, I would just have another gender reveal. I raised my children to be able to openly express themselves without fear of rejection or anything of that nature. Is being trans easy? Of course not. And I mean, we want our children to have the easiest life, but I mean, that doesn't, not at the cost of their happiness. So if either one of them or both of them happen to be trans, I wanted a boy anyway, so what's good? Like, what's up? it doesn't bother me in the slightest. Like, but I would never force them to. I would never. It's insane how many people think I would, but I would never. Like, even my oldest, she's girly as hell. Like, I can't even relate. I'm so grateful for my ex-husband.
Adorable.
Thank you. For my ex-husband and my current partner, I like, feminine boys. I'm so grateful for them because they enjoy doing like that makeover stuff and makeup I don't have it. So, like, I would never, but it's not something I would ever try to like force them or anything like that.
Devin, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Alrighty. So
Devin's being a papa.
yeah, look at him.
Yeah.
So did you hear the question?
Yeah. I'll be okay. I'll be okay with it. I want them to kind of like, be sure that it's something they want to do because everything comes along with it. Like, honestly, and this is being 100, I just don't want them to just go into it, blindly. But I would not be mad, and I would not, I would still love them regardless. I mean, who am I to judge? Because, I mean, look at me. But I would definitely want them to be prepared, well knowledge on the subject and everything like that. So, if they do face ignorance, they know how to handle it and process it, or whatever the case may be. So, yeah, that's my take on that question there.
Right. All right. How many more questions do you have, Davone?
No more questions, but I have a personal question for all three of you. The climate of the United States, the mistreatment of trans people. Did you ever think about your safety and your partner's safety just by simply walking the street?
Of course.
Xavier? Oh, Kaden, go ahead.
I was kind of answering under my breath because I was waiting for you to call somebody, but I'll go ahead and talk. Of course, being trans, being a trans man, being a passing trans man kind of makes me invisible in a certain sense, right? So when I walk down the street with fear, it's because I'm Black and because I'm gay and I'm walking down the street 9 times out of 10 with another man. The fear part with the transness comes with so a lot of people have seen my face thus far, you know, because of my last pregnancy going viral and whatever. And the fear part comes in with the fact that there are people who could, you know, recognize me or whatever. And if they have any hate or malice in their heart towards trans people, then that could be something that they can use to, you know, inflict any kind of like, you know, ill will or whatever on me. And then there's always that thought in the back of my mind. For some reason, for me, it's with cisgender men, heterosexual men. There's that fear that if they find out that I'm trans, they'll want to rape me because they want to prove to me that I'm still a girl. And that's my biggest like fear when it comes to like walking down the street and, you know, having to worry about stuff like that.
Thank you for sharing, Kaden.
Xavier?
Yeah, I think, you know, Kaden said a lot of stuff really well. You know, we Black men, so we seen as that first walk in the street. So it's the things I feel like I fear someone thinking I'm somebody else and catching a bullet. It might be something about being in Chicago, about catching somebody. I worry about catching somebody else's bullet more than I worry about catching
Chicago's
something.
rough.
More than I worry about catching something because I'm trans. I feel like unless I'm in certain situations, like more like sexual situations or hookup situations, some of those fears, those worries about people, like some of the things that Katie mentioned. But besides that, I feel like because of the way that I move through the world, unless I name myself or proclaim myself in a certain way, I'll have to worry about more violence as a Black man than I have as a trans person. But I'm also in a relationship with a very visible trans woman. So I think about violence in those ways too, around how to protect my partner, how to protect my child. If they find out who we are they going to take who we are out on our child? Those are things that I think about when it comes to fear and violence.
Devin?
Yeah, I'm sorry. My phone was frozen. But honestly, I do think about that. Just not even walk down the street just all the time. That's just the person I am though. I think about with everything going on in the world and being Black, being trans and everything else. I think it's just an everyday thought that something's gonna happen. I'm gonna have to be ready for something, some type of ignorance when I go outside the door. So like I think about that a lot with me and also my family too. Um, what was the other part of the question? I'm sorry.
It was just, do you think about your safety, your partner's safety when you're walking in the street? You're a threat to a lot of cis men, like what Kaden said. I'm sure they find you as a threat. And to be a Black man, you're a threat. To be trans, you're a threat. And then to be trans and pregnant, that's a triple threat.
Right. Right. That definitely it is, and it's a lot to deal with. So I think one of those thoughts run across my mind daily, like from walking up the street to going outside to take the mail to everything. So
Wow. We definitely be praying for you, praying for all three of you.
thank
It's not a good situation in our community right now with trans people at all. It's hard.
Yes, yes. We thank you all for sharing, and so there are a lot of people that are thanking you all for being transparent, and they are learning a lot, and I really appreciate you all. So I want to talk about discrimination, right? It just so happens that Caden posts on his Instagram and on his social media, right? He also has a YouTube channel, and he shares his life. And it just so happens that there was someone that discriminated against him for being trans and pregnant, right? The whole thing started with men having babies, right? And her take on it was that men cannot have babies, right? Cis men. But she didn't say it that way, right? The way she came across was very disrespectful, and it was very um, hateful, right? And for her to be someone in political office and have thousands of followers, a black woman, I found this to be um, disheartening, profound, and disturbing, right? Because
Bully.
yes, yes, and with all the hate and murders that is happening within the LGBT community on a whole, right? You would think that this woman would sit and pause for a moment and be educated on the fact that trans men have been having babies for a very long time, right? And that if she would have engaged in conversation with Caden prior to talking to her thousands of followers and putting her views on trans men, this situation wouldn't have escalated to where it did. And I'm really hoping that this right here, this conversation that we're having, shows a different light on trans men being pregnant, having children, and opens the door for a positive conversation and allows people to listen and ask questions before blurting
Or
out
assumptions.
ignorance and negativity. Right. So, Kaden, would you like to talk a little bit about the situation? If not, it's fine.
I don't mind. So basically, I shared a picture of myself pregnant and on the beach. This dope ass doula lady on Instagram, she found it. She has a ton of followers, and she put it on her page, and it kind of like exploded from there. As that happened, uh, one day I noticed that somebody had used added my Instagram name, and it said, "Here she goes. This is her page right here." And I was like, "Oh, that must have been a mistake because they couldn't be referring to me." So I clicked it, and it was some like mayo faced ass bitch misgendering me, and I didn't even understand what the post was. I was like, "What is this?" So I thought it was on my page. Originally, I thought it was on my page. And then I looked, and I'm like, who the fuck is Angela Stanton? I've never heard of this lady in my life. And I go to her page, and she has over a quarter of a, no, 250,000 followers. And she took not just that picture, but also screen recorded a video of mine and put it on her page as well. 2 separate posts. One of them said something along the lines of that trans people are like white people in blackface. And the other one said something along the line, basically insinuating that our children's lives are in danger because of trans folks, or whatever the case may be. When that happened, I literally just got out of the hospital from having from having my daughter. Like, I think I was a day and a half out of the hospital. And I'm laying there in pain, and all I kept thinking was, why did you choose me? Like, there have been and it's no shade, there have been white trans men that have been openly, loudly pregnant. You didn't use them, you used me. Why? As a Black cisgender woman, why did you choose to target me? And I was so defeated. Like, and I'm never that type of person. Like, things don't bother me like that. I usually just curse the bitch out and keep it pumping. Like, but I was just laying there, and my boyfriend was like, oh, absolutely not. Get up, put on a shirt, and get on live. Get on live right now and invite this lady to have a conversation with you. Because what the fuck? So I got on live and did all that, and she ignored me, of course. And then she blocked me off of Instagram and went on Twitter and went on this whole rampage about me, like a whole entire rampage. This dragged on for like 4 or 5 days. She would get on live on Instagram, and I had to have people send it to me because she had me blocked. Me and my boyfriend, because he went on there and cursed out for bleed. So, the problem is, like, even as hateful as what she said was and everything like that, and the fact that she's running for a chair in Congress in Georgia or whatever the case may be, Instagram wouldn't take the post down. And then someone, because of what she was saying, someone took my story and twisted it around and told people that wrote like an article or something on Facebook saying that I got pregnant before, but I had abortions because I didn't want to be pregnant as a woman. So I transitioned so I could be pregnant as a man. And because as a result of that, I started to get like tons of like death threats. People just called and even still to this day, like there are people who like will go out of their way to make fake pages just to get in my inbox and call me all types of faggots and trannies, and I'm sick, they should take my kids away, they hope I die, like the whole gamut. And I'm currently trying to take some sort of legal action against her, but my efforts are seeming to be in vain because apparently she ain't got shit and nobody wants to take the case because of it. But she then started talking, basically she went off of that, she basically made my face the poster child of trans hate for Trump supporters, and then went on to attack. There's that show on TLC. I forget what it's called, but it has trans men who are caring for their partners. She started posting them, and then she started calling us all pedophiles. So here we are with that.
Yeah. So I saw that, and I do want to tell you to reach out to the Human Rights Campaign and also Lambda Legal and see if they can assist you legally. Also, there is Transgender Legal Defense and Transgender Law Center. I'll send you all of that inbox, and you can reach out to several people for support on that because
Yeah.
so what that looks like is not suing her for um, financial, but it's suing her for disrespecting you and
Yeah, for defamation. See, and that's the thing. That's what I've been trying to let people know. I'm not suing her for money. I don't care about her money, honestly. I don't really give a shit about any of that. The point of this all is to hit her where it hurts. The problem is, on a legal aspect, that still costs money.
they
I've
won't
tried
charge
to
you.
reach out. I've tried to reach out. I've tried to reach out to ACLU. Thus far, they haven't gotten back to me. I like my only way of contacting them is through the contact us link on their website, and I'm sure that just gets lost in the
Directly.
sauce.
Contact Lala
Huh?
Zanel. Contact Lala Zanel directly, and she may be able to
Just
assist
you
you.
just text that to me because I
Yes,
don't even know.
yes.
I'm not gonna remember that.
I will,
Um,
I will text you all of the information of who to reach out to, and it's at no cost to you, right? Because she needs to be served a cease and desist.
yeah, I mean, that's basically end all be all. But for me, I'm trying to figure out a way to make noise around this. Um,
As you
I'm
should.
not gonna let her. I'm not gonna let her bully someone else after me, because in all honesty, especially right postpartum, like right after having a child, what I'm supposed to be doing is enjoying my child, resting and healing, and I got to do none of that. And then not only that, like I imagine getting death threats and having to call, I had to call my dad where my daughter was at and tell them like, hey, make sure you don't answer the phone for anyone. I mean, the door for anyone, kind of be vigilant about what's going on and having to instill fear in their hearts because, they could decide, to go after me through my family or whatever the case may be. Like, and people have a lot. If anybody saw the post and saw the comments under there, they hate us.
Yeah,
Like, they
flagged
hate
many of
us.
them. I was trying to flag every single one.
Yeah, they won't take them down. They refuse, and that's and I went as far as I spoke with India Moore, and she put me in touch with her publicist, who then got into direct contact with Instagram, and they claimed to have done an investigation and still didn't take it down because I guess it's not hateful enough. But heaven forbid I show an ass cheek on there, they taking my whole account down. But of course, let a public figure spew hate towards an entire community, but that's okay. And if that's not bullying, I don't know what bullying is.
That is.
Even if it just came down to the comments in the section where they said that we all like I need to die and get thrown in the ocean and thrown off a bridge and they need to take my kids and like what?
Yeah.
So
Well, if you need support around that, I'm here. I'm gonna inbox you all the
okay.
information, and you can call them. And I'm here. I'm here for all of you. And it is 9 o'clock on our end, and we normally stop around this time. If there's no more questions,
No more questions.
from anyone, and do you guys have any questions for each other? No,
No.
No, I'm good.
you all are good. You good, Xavier? You look like you're thinking of a master plan right there. Yeah. So well, you want to close us out, Davone?
Well, I just want to thank our guests for being so transparent. Your transparency today definitely educated a lot of people, and we appreciate you for that. I know it took a lot, and some of the questions might have been a little triggering, and we appreciate you answering each and every one of them truthfully. I just want y'all all to enjoy life and live in your truth. That's all you
How'd
can
you
do.
end up with 3 waters? What happened?
Okay.
I didn't hear what it said.
Kate is our firecracker for this show. We always have one guest as a firecracker.
but I love Kate. I watch all of his shows, his lives. He is on point. He will let you have it.
Kaden.
Talking to my boyfriend. He just got back in the car.
I saw.
Well, from my end, I would like to offer you guys something from me, from my heart. If you all could inbox me, I will send you all some diapers. Either way.
I want to send some gifts.
So
I always accept diapers.
yes.
I want to send clothes. I like to shop.
Look, my daughter has entirely too many clothes, and she can't fit any of them because she's preemie. So, like, she just has mad clothes that she's going to grow up. And he changes her outfit like 10 times a day.
Love it.
Well, I will personally send you all diapers. So if you all can inbox me where to send the diapers and what size, I can do that this evening and send you all just a little support to help out.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
And Javon's gonna buy clothes.
Thank you so
I
much.
love the shop.
All right, you all. I appreciate you and thank you for being here with us. And we'll talk soon. Xavier, we're gonna meet up with you and Liz.
Oh, wait a minute. Give your social media so they can follow you.
I'm Dirty Art Boy, BOI, on Instagram.
Okay. Kaden.
I am Caden X Official.
Bye, guys.
Kaden X Official on Instagram. Devin.
Okay.
Devin is busy.
Devin.
Seatbelt on.
Yeah. Oh, my bad. I thought I was muted, but it's T-Man Dev 1113.
All right.
T-Man
Dev 1113 on
Yeah.
Instagram. Follow them. Follow their journey. All right, everybody. It's been great. It's been amazing. And God bless.
Thank you. Blessings to you all. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.